All right, so listen to this. We're diving into something you'd think wouldn't even be a question anymore. Is the Earth actually flat? Crazy.
Right. Yeah, especially now, with all the satellites and space travel and everything.
Oh, no, right? But you know what? The flat Earth thing, it's still a thing. People still believe it. So we're going to use
There you go.
we're going to use Neil deGrasse Tyson's Star Talk video as like our starting point,
Yeah.
for this deep dive.
Kind of a jumping off point.
Yeah. So get ready. We're going to do some serious myth busting.
For sure.
And maybe, maybe even laugh a little along the way.
Yeah, I think. The thing that's really interesting to me is not just the flat Earth idea itself.
Yeah.
But like why people still believe it. Why is it so persistent?
Right.
So that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be like detectives. We're going to look at all the evidence against a flat Earth.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if we can figure out, what might be fueling this belief in the face of reality.
Yeah. Okay, so Neil deGrasse Tyson, in his video, he starts it off with this observation that's almost too funny. Okay, so flat earthers, they seem to be totally fine with accepting that the sun, the moon, all the other planets are spheres, but the Earth,
Right.
no. The Earth has got to be special. The Earth's got to be flat.
Right. It's like our planet got this special memo that the rest of the universe missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what Tyson points out is that this really highlights like a major inconsistency in the flat Earth model.
Yeah.
The universe, the way we understand it, has this natural tendency towards roundness. It's all about physics and energy.
He uses the example of anything, Earth's shape.
Right.
It's not a perfect sphere. It's slightly slanted at the poles because of the rotation. It's kind of like spinning pizza dough. You get that little, bulge in the middle.
Anyway, I'm sure you already know this. Spheres are the most stable shape.
Right.
But let's flip the script for a second. How do these flat Earth proponents try to explain things? Like a lunar eclipse, given their model.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
things really start to fall apart.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So, a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth casts a shadow on the moon.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that shadow is always round, no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Or the position of the Earth.
Right.
This simple observation, which people have known for centuries, really throws a wrench in the flat Earth theory.
Right, because if the Earth were flat, wouldn't the shadow sometimes be flat?
Right.
It makes you wonder how, how flat earthers explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Right.
let's go back in time, way back.
Yeah.
To ancient Greece.
Oh.
You remember
right.
Eratosthenes?
Eratosthenes?
Oh, yeah. This guy was like a scientific rock star. He figured out the Earth's circumference over 2,000 years ago using just 2 wells and some sharp thinking.
Wait, seriously, just 2 wells?
Yep, just 2 wells.
That's it?
2 wells.
Okay.
You notice that? On a certain day of the year, the sun shone directly down a well in one city,
Okay.
while in another city, further north, the sun cast a shadow at a different angle in a well there. So, picture this. Imagine 2 sticks of equal length,
Right.
one in each well.
Mm-hmm.
If the Earth were flat,
Yeah.
both sticks would cast the same length shadow at the same time.
Right.
Right. But they didn't.
They didn't.
They were different. And Eratosthenes realized that this difference could only be explained if the Earth's surface was curved
Wow.
by knowing the distance between the 2 cities and the angle difference of the shadows. He used geometry to calculate the Earth's circumference. And he was incredibly accurate on this before anyone had ever circumnavigated the globe.
That's amazing. That's incredible. It's like he cracked the code of Earth's shape using just sunshine and shadows.
Yeah.
It really makes you appreciate the power of, observation and deduction.
Absolutely. And speaking of simple but powerful observations, let's not forget about it. You know that classic example of ships disappearing? Hull first, over the horizon. We've all seen it. You're at the beach watching a ship sail away, and it gradually disappears. From the bottom up,
Yeah.
if the Earth were flat, wouldn't we see the entire ship just get smaller and smaller until it was just a dot?
Yeah, it's like a visual clue that even ancient seafarers who might have thought the Earth was flat, couldn't completely ignore. It makes you wonder if they ever had that. Wait a minute, moment. When they were watching ships disappear over the horizon.
Yeah.
But okay, let's try a little thought experiment here. Courtesy of Neil deGrasse Tyson himself, he asks us to imagine walking east continuously for as long as it takes. Just keep walking east. No stopping. What do you think would happen?
Well, assuming you have, you know, really good walking shoes
Right.
and a killer playlist,
Yeah.
I think you would eventually end up back where you started.
Right.
It really highlights the fact that on a spherical Earth, moving in one direction long enough brings you full circle.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Whether it's lunar eclipses or disappearing ships or imaginary endless walks, it seems like, everyday experiences. You know, if we just pay attention, can offer hints about the true nature of our world.
Yeah. Just like we're surrounded by evidence. Sometimes we need to shift our perspective to really see it, really see it.
Okay. Yeah, it's almost like, there's this big cosmic conspiracy just constantly whispering to us the truth about the Earth's shape. But really, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he frames this whole flat Earth thing in the context of freedom of speech, He sees it as like, this right that everyone has. And it should be protected even when the ideas are, well, factually incorrect.
That's a really interesting point. It makes you think about how we balance freedom of expression with the need to promote accurate information.
Right.
Especially now, in the age of the internet, when misinformation can spread so quickly.
Right. It's like walking a tightrope.
It is.
On one hand, you want to encourage open dialogue and, diverse viewpoints, but on the other hand, you don't want to, give harmful or misleading ideas a platform.
I think what Tyson's getting at is the importance of critical thinking skills.
Right.
It's not enough to just have access to information. We need to be able to evaluate it, to question our assumptions, and be willing to change our minds when we see compelling evidence.
It makes me wonder, what kind of approaches in education could help foster that kind of critical thinking and scientific literacy? How do we equip people to be, these discerning consumers of information when it's coming at them from all directions?
Yeah, that's a big question. Maybe it's about moving away from rote memorization and toward teaching kids how to think. Like scientists, encourage them to question things, experiment, analyze.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about integrating media literacy into the curriculum.
Right.
So they can better understand how information is presented and how to spot potential biases.
I like that. Thinking like scientists. You know what? I remember when I was in school, I remember those hands-on science experiments, the ones that made you go, whoa, that's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were always the most fun. Maybe it's about bringing more of that wonder and curiosity back into learning.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, science is about exploration and discovery. It's about being willing to be wrong and constantly updating our understanding of the world based on, new evidence.
Right. Okay, so let's bring this back to our little detective case here.
Okay.
We've looked at, some pretty solid clues that point to a round Earth. We've got lunar eclipses, disappearing ships, Eratosthenes' experiment, even that thought experiment about walking east forever.
Right. And those are just a few examples. I mean, there's a mountain of evidence from all kinds of scientific disciplines, physics, astronomy, geology. It all leads to the same conclusion. The Earth is a sphere.
Okay. So here's the big question that's left. Why does this flat Earth theory persist? What is the motive behind this belief?
I don't think there's one easy answer.
Right.
It's probably a combination of factors.
Yeah.
Some people, they might distrust authority figures.
Right. Or institutions.
Right. Which leads them to reject
Yeah.
mainstream scientific explanations.
It's interesting that you say that. I'm not sure. That it's always about distrusting all authority, I think. For some people, it might be about seeking out alternative narratives, wanting to feel like they've uncovered some hidden truth that the establishment is trying to suppress.
Yeah.
It could be about wanting to feel like you're part of a special group. Who gets it?
Who sees through the illusions that everyone else is blindly accepting.
It's almost like a reverse conspiracy theory in a way. But then there's also, the psychological aspect, like the need for certainty and control. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, I think, for some people, believing in a flat Earth, where everything is, simple and understandable, might offer a sense of comfort and order.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we can't forget about social media and online communities.
Yeah.
Those platforms create these echo chambers where misinformation is amplified and alternative narratives can really take root.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught in these filter bubbles where you only see information that confirms your existing beliefs.
And the algorithms are designed to show you what they think you want to see. So
they can actually reinforce those filter bubbles. Like, you're surrounded by people who all agree with you, so you never really have to, you know, question those beliefs. Yeah. It's almost like the internet is this giant hall of mirrors just reflecting back our own biases and preconceptions. It makes it even harder to have, you know, real conversations and to bridge the divides between different viewpoints.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like we're all just in this big maze of information. And sometimes those shortcuts and easy answers, they're really tempting, even if they're wrong. But hey, this wouldn't be a true deep dive if we didn't leave you with something to think about.
Right, of course. So here's a question. We've had proof the Earth is round for centuries. We're talking ancient Greek mathematicians all the way to modern astronauts. So
why do you think this flat Earth theory is still around? What makes this idea, and others like it, so resistant to change, even when we have so much evidence?
It really makes you think about, like, how we believe things and how we understand the world. Is it just about facts? Or is there something more? Maybe like a need to belong or a distrust of institutions or even wanting simple explanations in a world that's really complex. And I think it's important to remember that people who believe these things aren't necessarily irrational or unintelligent. They're just, you know, processing information differently, influenced by their experiences and their values and the people around them.
It's like that quote, I can't remember who said it, but it's like, everyone is a genius in their own way, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life believing it's stupid.
I like that. It really speaks to the importance of, you know, recognizing different ways of thinking and understanding. Maybe instead of just dismissing people who have different beliefs, we can try to understand where they're coming from, what experiences they've had, what fears they might have that lead them to those beliefs.
It's like coming to the conversation with curiosity instead of judgment, maybe asking, what made you think that? Instead of saying, you're wrong.
Exactly, because ultimately it's about, you know, encouraging open-mindedness and critical thinking. It's not just about, you know, debunking conspiracy theories. It's about looking at all information with a critical eye. Whether it's about the shape of the Earth or something else entirely.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the flat Earth theory, let's keep that in mind, that curiosity and critical thinking, don't be afraid to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and be open to, you know, changing your mind when you see new evidence. Who knows? Maybe next time we do a deep dive, we'll uncover something that challenges our own understanding of the world.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep an open mind. That's what makes learning so fun. The possibility of discovering something new. That changes how we see things.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll sign off for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.